Single mom's heartwarming mistake texting billionaire reveals an unexpected life-changing journey. Laura took a deep breath as she stepped out of the diner, the aroma of freshly baked pie still clinging to her clothes like a warm hug. It had been a long shift, the clinking of cups and chatter of customers echoing in her ears, but the thought of Emily and Max waiting for her at home made it all worthwhile. As a 30-something single mom in a quaint suburban neighborhood just outside Chicago, her life was an intricate juggling act: part-time waitress, full-time mother. Each day, she sacrificed her own desires to ensure her children felt loved and supported, even as bills piled up like an unending mountain. With a sigh, she opened her phone, tapping out a message meant for her best friend. Instead, her tired fingers hit send on a heartfelt note to a stranger: Jake, a wealthy billionaire known for his tech company. Some days I feel like I'm just treading water. Keep my head up for my kids, but man, it's tough. I want so much for them. She didn't think much of it until her phone buzzed moments later. Jake's response was swift, and to her surprise, it was more than just polite. I can't imagine the challenge. I see you. I really do. Their back and forth spiraled into shared laughs and confessions, grounding them in a way that neither expected. Here was a man surrounded by wealth, intrigued by a woman carrying the weight of financial struggle. But reality had a way of crashing in. Laura's heart sank when she realized the school fees were due soon, and if she couldn't scrape together the money, Emily's dreams of attending a prestigious arts program would shatter. Her son Max, full of energy and ambition, was counting down to soccer tryouts. Could she afford to let him compete? The creeping threat of eviction hung in the air, as heavy as the evening humidity. Jake confessed his own loneliness, opening a window to their shared vulnerabilities. Beneath his polished exterior, he felt a hollowness that money couldn't fill. Their connection deepened, yet so did Laura's worries. Then came the offer: a community fundraiser at her diner, suggested by Jake to alleviate her burdens. Her heart raced. Would she swallow her pride for her kids' needs? Or would she let her dignity stand in the way of support? The thought of accepting help from a billionaire felt like an admission of failure. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the night of the fundraiser arrived, nerves danced in her stomach like butterflies. The diner buzzed with familiar faces and community members looking to support a cause they believed in. The air was thick with hope, laughter, and the buttery scent of pie. Laura stepped to the front, a mix of excitement and dread coiling inside her. What if this was the lifeline she desperately needed? But what if it deepened the divide between her and Jake? Would their bond withstand the weight of financial assistance, or would it crumble under the pressure of societal judgment? With a heavy heart and an uncertain mind, she looked out at the crowd, a kaleidoscope of emotions swirling around her. The stakes couldn't be higher, and as the first notes of music filled the air, she inhaled deeply. Could this night reveal more than just a solution? Would it unfold the true meaning of community, friendship, and resilience, or would it throw everything into chaos? The music swelled, blending with the chatter and laughter around Laura. She felt the warmth of her community surrounding her, yet a chill of doubt crept into her heart. What if no one showed up? What if they did, but only out of pity? As she glanced at the entrance, her heart skipped a beat when Jake walked in. Tall and confident, he scanned the room until their eyes met. A knowing smile lit up his face, and she felt a mix of relief and anxiety. He had become her unexpected anchor, a bridge between her struggles and the possibility of helping her family. "Hey!" he approached, his presence lighting up the room. "Ready for tonight?" "As ready as I'll ever be," she replied, forcing a smile, though her heart raced. "Thanks again for doing this. It means a lot. Not just for you, Laura." Jake lowered his voice, looking around. "This is for the community, too. Everyone needs a little support sometimes." A swell of gratitude filled her chest. It was a simple statement, but it shook something loose inside her. She had always thought of asking for help as a weakness, a betrayal to her independence. But maybe, just maybe, accepting help now would create a ripple of generosity for herself and others, and that was powerful. As the night unfolded, people began to bid on silent auction items: homemade quilts, local artwork, even a signed baseball. Each item held the promise of support, not just for Laura but for the arts program that could change Emily's life. She caught sight of her children at one of the tables, their laughter weaving a golden thread through her worries. Emily was whispering to Max, her eyes shining like the stars above. For this moment, Laura pushed aside her own insecurities and joined them. "Mom, look!" Emily pointed at a painting displayed on the wall. "Can we bid on that?" Laura studied it, a vibrantly colored piece depicting a sunset over a city skyline. It was beautiful and hopeful, much like her daughter's dreams. "If it's important to you, we'll figure it out." As the evening continued, Laura felt lighter. Each bid raised more than just money, it raised support and encouragement too. Community members chatted excitedly, and the room buzzed with energy. It was more than just a fundraiser. It was a celebration of love and resilience, something they all shared. But as the night wore on, doubts whispered at the edges. Laura caught snippets of conversations, and her stomach twisted. Some murmurs hinted at Jake's wealth, his presence in a town that prided itself on self-sufficiency. Would that become more of a shadow than a support? Jake caught her staring, and his gaze was steady. He seemed to understand her turmoil. "You're doing great, Laura. Don't let anyone steal that from you," he said quietly, as though sensing the weight on her shoulders. Just then, the crowd erupted into applause. Jake turned to the stage, where Laura would soon be speaking. The moment drew nearer with heart-threatening intensity. Just before she stepped up, Jake placed a reassuring hand on her back. "You've got this," he whispered. She nodded, stepping up to the microphone, her heart pounding fiercely. She looked at the crowd, people who had come out to support not only her, but the very essence of community care. "Thank you all for being here," she began, her voice breaking slightly. "I've struggled so hard not to ask for help." The words felt cathartic, unraveling the fear she had held onto for so long. But the moment shifted as she continued, her heart racing with the urgency to share not just her struggle, but the hope she felt. As she spoke, she caught sight of her children, Max beaming with pride, Emily's eyes wide in admiration. Then, mid-sentence, a sudden thought hit her. Sharing her truth felt empowering, but what if she wasn't just sharing for herself? What if her vulnerability could inspire others? She scanned the crowd, letting her gaze linger on familiar faces. Could it ignite a change in them too? "Maybe we all have burdens we carry," she said, her voice steadying. "But together, we can make things lighter. Together, we can lift each other up." Applause erupted, but as she stood there, her heart thudded with an unexpected question: was this what she truly wanted? The burgeoning connection with Jake, the vulnerability she had embraced tonight, what lay ahead? The crowd faded, leaving just Laura standing at the precipice of a new beginning. What awaited her wasn't just support. It was an opportunity to forge a path for herself and her children, intertwined with new connections, hope on the horizon. But deep down, would she let that connection be more than just financial, a bridge to something greater? Laura felt the applause wash over her like a warm tide. The cheers were a balm for her weary soul, but still, uncertainty lingered. She stepped back from the microphone, her breath coming in quick bursts. David's face faded into the background as she scanned the sea of grinning faces, feeling overwhelmed by the well of emotions swirling inside her. "Mom, that was amazing!" Max shouted, rushing toward her. His little arms wrapped around her waist, grounding her in his innocent enthusiasm. Emily joined them, her eyes gleaming with wonder. "You were so brave! Did you see how everyone clapped? We are going to do great things, Mom." The pride in her children's voices fueled a flicker of courage in her heart, but the echo of doubt still clung to her. Could she truly be the woman they believed her to be? As the evening progressed, Laura mingled with friends and neighbors. She felt their warmth, their genuine support, and it lifted her. Yet, every time the conversation veered toward Jake, unease twisted her stomach. They whispered admiration for him, marveling at his generosity, but she couldn't shake the feeling of being an imposter in this new world. Who knew this would be such a success? Grace, an old friend, beamed as she poured Laura another cup of coffee. And Jake? Wow! He really stepped up, huh? Laura nodded, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Yes, his contributions are incredible. Before Grace could continue, Jake himself approached, holding a stack of papers. Hey, Laura, he said, an easy charm surrounding him. I thought you might want to look over the donations we've received tonight. We hit well over our goal. Her heart raced, and she instinctively scanned the room, half expecting someone to challenge their dynamic. That's amazing, Jake. Thank you so much. Something tells me you had a big part in it, he winked. You should be proud. Pride? She had never allowed herself to feel that before. I'm learning that asking for help can be a strength, not a weakness, she admitted, the weight of those words settling between them. Exactly, he said, almost as if he understood the internal tug-of-war she battled. And in allowing others to help, you create space for them to grow as well. For a fleeting moment, she felt as if he saw her, not just as a struggling single mom but as a woman capable of more than just surviving. But doubts still loomed over her heart. When he offered her the paperwork again, she hesitated. I don't know if I can. You don't have to do it all alone, Jake interjected, sincerity radiating from him. I've got your back. Always. She swallowed hard, wrestling with the growing connection between them. Was it friendship? Or something more? As confusion swirled, she felt another voice call her name. Hey, Laura! Over here! It was Bill, the local shop owner. You want to come by and see how the bids are going? I think we got a few surprises. Turning back to Jake, she smiled, the invitation to a new conversation shortening the space between them. I'll be right back. As she walked toward the auction table, the cheerful thrumming of the night surrounded her, vibrant and filled with life. She felt lighter, almost as if she were floating. Yet, beneath that glow, a sense of anxiety began to coil tightly within her, and then she paused, a thought creeping in uninvited. What was she truly afraid of? Was it the judgment of the townsfolk? Or was it the growing feelings she had for Jake, feelings that could change everything she thought she knew? The laughter and chatter echoed around her, yet in that moment of stillness, she realized this wasn't just about the fundraiser or her family. It was about herself. Could she take the leap toward uncertainty and embrace vulnerability again? As she caught a glimpse of Jake, surrounded by community members, a pulse of determination ignited. Maybe it was time to stop living in fear of their perceptions and start living for her own truth. But as she turned back to the auction table, a muffled conversation caught her attention. The words barely floated to her, but they were enough to send a chill down her spine. Can you believe she's getting handouts from him? What's next? Laura's heart sank, and her smile faltered. Would she ever escape the stigma? Could she truly let herself be vulnerable in this new friendship, or was there a line she was too afraid to cross? With her thoughts swirling, she felt the ground beneath her shift. What if accepting help, and even Jake's friendship, came with unexpected consequences she couldn't foresee? The crowd buzzed, but all she could hear were those whispering doubts. And suddenly, she was back at the precipice again, wondering which path to choose. Would she stand tall, face the voices, and embrace the connections waiting for her? Or retreat into her fortified walls of self-sufficiency, losing yet another opportunity for growth? The night's excitement swirled around her, but Laura now faced one undeniable truth. Moments could change lives, but would she let them change hers? Laura took a deep breath, unwilling to be caught in the web of others' perceptions. The laughter faded into a dull roar as she focused on the weight in her chest. She could feel the stairs creeping up on her, thick as smoke. With each step towards the auction table, she felt more of the solid ground slip from beneath her. Hey, Laura! Bill waved her over, his friendly grin somehow managing to slice through her unease. Look at these bids. People really want to support the cause. He gestured excitedly at the colorful sheets of paper plastered on the table, signs of support and hope. But all Laura could muster was a nod, her heart still hammering. She bit her lip and scanned the bids, attempting to distract herself. This was supposed to be a night of celebration, yet every cheerful flare felt like another wave crashing against the fortress she'd built around herself. The atmosphere was electric, filled with laughter and camaraderie. Yet, there was an undercurrent of judgment, piercing through the joy. Are they really talking about me? She thought, anxiety simmering just below the surface. And then he appeared again, weaving through the crowd, Jake with his easy smile and undeniable presence. He approached with purpose, seeming to radiate warmth that made her heart flutter and her insecurities flare. "What's the matter?" he asked, genuine concern threading through his tone. "Nothing," Laura replied too quickly, forcing another smile, but it felt like a mask slipping. "Just processing. It's a lot to take in." Jake studied her with those deep-set eyes, and it felt as though he could see right through her facade. "You know, it's okay to feel overwhelmed. You've just opened yourself up in a big way tonight." His words hung in the air, so weighty and real. A part of her wanted to lean into his support, to echo the bravery he saw in her. But another part, the stubborn, fiercely independent part, fought back. "What if I'm not the brave woman everyone thinks I am?" she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. "What if I'm just pretending?" "You're not pretending," he insisted, taking a step closer. "You've already achieved so much. You're here, doing this. Nobody can take that away from you." The truth in his eyes sent a thrill of unexpected hope coursing through her, yet more uncertainty followed. If she accepted his support, where would it lead? She wrestled with the profound connectiveness they shared, and the weight of potential judgment rode heavy on her shoulders. As they stood there, caught in a moment of unspoken connection, a loud burst of laughter broke through the crowd, the sound of celebration mingling with the tension of her thoughts. It was as though everyone else was part of a world she could barely touch. Suddenly, a girl who had been whispering across the room, her voice tinged with mischief, called out, "Did you see?" She asked, practically begging for his help. The laughter intensified, sharper now, cutting through the warmth Jake had created. Laura's heart sank, her vulnerability feeling like bait under a spotlight. A flicker of anger ignited within her. "Enough," she said, surprising herself with the strength that colored her words. "Enough. I won't let this stop me." With a nod to Jake, she pushed through the crowd, seeking the comfort of those who understood the real reason behind her choices. The moment felt pivotal, yet the deluge of doubt haunted her. Did people think she needed saving? Were they mocking her for wanting something more? She turned to face Jake, whose expression was a mixture of admiration and concern. "See?" he said softly, hope blooming in his tone. "You're stronger than you realize." Feeling emboldened, she joined a circle of friends at the auction table. As bids were announced, laughter filled the air, and she began to feel less like a spectator and more like a participant in her own life. Bits of laughter began to melt away the edges of her fear, but lingering questions formed like clouds in her mind. What would happen when the night ended? Would she be able to rise above the whispers and find her place? Or would she forever feel like an outsider when the spotlight dimmed? As the last bid was placed, Laura's breath hitched. She felt a shift within, a tiny spark igniting against the noise of her self-doubt. But as she turned to celebrate with her friends, something caught her attention, a figure, silhouetted by the dimming lights. Jake was watching her, and amidst the chaotic celebration, his gaze felt like a lifeline. Would she take his hand and step into the light together? Laura's heart raced. The uncertainty of the moment enveloped her, but there was no backing down now. As the night drew to a close, she couldn't shake the question echoing in her mind. If she ventured deeper into these connections, how much could she truly change, and what would that mean for her once again? The crowd began to thin, laughter bubbling down to soft chatter as the evening wrapped around Laura like a familiar blanket, though she still felt an uncomfortable chill. She glanced back at Jake, his warm smile still threading through the memories they had shared tonight. A part of her longed to cross the space between them, to grab his hand and anchor herself in the moment, but another part clung fiercely to her independence. "Laura!" Bill's voice rang out again, cutting through her swirling thoughts. "You did amazing up there. The bids were fantastic, all thanks to you." She smiled at his enthusiasm, even though her heart didn't align with it fully. "Thanks, Bill. It was a team effort," she replied, trying to dismiss the weight of her earlier emotions, but the buzz of triumph was dimmed by the aftermath of the whispers. The girl's words still haunted her, wrapping around her brain like vines. Did people really think she was weak, just because she reached out for help? Did acknowledging her struggles mean admitting defeat? With an effort, she pulled her attention back to the celebration surrounding her. Friends were clinking glasses, toasting to the successful night, and for a moment she let the warmth of camaraderie wash over her. Yet the glow dimmed when her eyes drifted back to Jake. He was laughing with others now, but in the quiet spaces of her mind, it felt like he was looking for her, too. "Go to him," a soft voice in her heart urged. "Show him who you really are." Taking a deep breath, she made a decision, the kind that can ripple through a woman's life. She weaved through the crowded hall filled with fading light and fleeting laughter until she stood before him, her heart thumping loudly against her chest. "Hey," she said, forcing the chill of uncertainty to the back of her mind. "I just wanted to say thanks for being there. It helps to know you see me." Jake turned to her, a surprise gleaming in his eyes. "Of course I do. I see a lot more than you think, Laura," he replied, sincerity dripping off his words. His tone stirred something deep inside her. "Can we talk?" she blurted out, nervousness prickling her skin. "Away from all of this." He nodded, and together they moved towards a quieter corner of the venue, the bustle fading into a gentle hum. Once they reached the edge of the room, where shadows lingered like secrets, a sense of relief washed over her. "I don't know what it is about tonight," she began, her voice barely above a whisper, "but I feel like I'm standing at a crossroads." Jake leaned against the wall, looking intrigued but protective. "What do you mean?" "I feel like everyone sees me as this brave figure." She paused, searching for the right words. "But inside, I fear I'm just a mess, trying to put on a show. What if I fall short?" "You won, he reassured her, his gaze unwavering. "Everyone has fears, even the strongest among us. It doesn't make you any less brave. It makes you human." Laura swallowed hard, his words settling deep within her. The space between them felt charged now, as if the air carried the weight of unspoken possibilities. "But what if embracing that humanity means losing everything I've built?" The vulnerability in her voice pierced through the layers of her guardedness. She had spent so long trying to prove herself, to stand tall for her family and friends, that the thought of breaking down felt terrifying. Jake stepped closer, the moment stretching between them, electric yet gentle. "Sometimes, the things we think will break us actually set us free," he said softly, just above a whisper. "What if this journey, this emotional struggle leads you to a strength you never knew you had?" His words danced in the air, teasing at a truth she hadn't considered. She wanted to believe him, to trust that this moment could be a turning point rather than the brink of disaster. But the fear lingered, gnawing at the edges of her resolve. Just as she was about to respond, a sudden shout broke the spell. "Hey Laura! Come join us!" It was Bill again, his voice pulling her back into the fray. The invitation hung between them, but the tension of the moment made it clear, a choice lay before her. Would she step forward into the warmth of the gathering, shying away from this fragile connection? Or would she lean into the uncertainty, embrace her fears, and let them guide her? As her heart raced with possibility, Laura knew the answer was just beginning to form. And though the night felt like it was closing in, she suddenly realized this was just the first step of her journey. Jake held her gaze, the question lingering unasked, waiting for her to make the next move. Would she carve out her own path and face the raw truth of what lay ahead? With that thought buzzing like a melody in her mind, she hesitated, the crowd beyond calling her name, but her instincts urged her to stay just a little longer in this moment of connection. What would she choose to do next? The moment hung delicately between them, the hum of the party fading into a distant echo. Laura felt her breath catch in her throat, caught between the vibrant life around her and the silence that promised something deeper. "Come on, Laura!" Everyone's waiting. Bill's voice echoed again, pulling her back toward the crowd and away from Jake's intense gaze. She could feel the warmth of his presence leaning in, but her instincts screamed in harmony with the call of the masses. "Maybe you should go," Jake suggested gently, sensing her internal struggle. His voice had that soothing quality that always seemed to calm the storm inside her. Yet, there was an unmistakable hint of disappointment. "No!" she replied more fiercely than intended, her words tumbling out like a release. I want to stay. I need to figure this out." The determination in her tone startled even her. It was as if the facade she wore during the event had begun to crack, allowing the raw, real version of herself to creep out. Jake straightened slightly, his expression softening. "Then let us figure it out together." This unexpected invitation pulled her heart closer to him. She took a step backward, resting against the wall, and Jake mirrored her movement, shutting out the noise of the gathering. His presence was more than reassuring, it felt grounding. "You make it sound so simple," Laura murmured, feeling slightly vulnerable, yet emboldened in this space they'd carved out. "But what if I fall apart? What if you don't?" he challenged gently, raising an eyebrow in playful defiance. "We spend so much time worrying about who we might lose, maybe we forget about who we might find." His words sent a flood of warmth through her, but also a shiver of realization. She was straddling two worlds, one where she maintained her carefully constructed image, and one where she could authentically connect with those around her. The choice was no longer about standing strong, it was about being authentic. "What if I show them my messiness and it turns them away?" she whispered, her voice quivering. "They're not looking for perfection, Laura," Jake replied, his voice low and comforting. "People are drawn to realness. Your struggles don't define you, they show your strength. I mean, look at you here. You've built something amazing, and it hasn't been easy." His confidence in her stirred something deep within. A small ember of courage began to glow, illuminating the shadows of doubt. She was so used to garnishing her life with bravado, she'd almost forgotten about the beauty in vulnerability. "So, what do I do?" she asked, feeling the weight of those words as if they were a key and she was poised to unlock a door. "I think you take that next step. Don't be afraid of what might come next, embrace the journey. Trust your heart, and trust yourself." He paused, the intensity of his gaze searching her face. "If you want to talk to the crowd, let us do it together. Or if you want to stay here a little longer, I am all in for that too." She searched his eyes. There was no pretense there, just a genuine offering of companionship and connection. Would stepping through that door lead to her saying what she truly needed to? "Okay," she whispered, a wave of excitement washing over her. "Let us do it." Before she could rethink it, she took a step towards the sounds of laughter and clinking glasses, with Jake right beside her. She could feel the pulse of fear, but alongside it was the thrill of potential. As they emerged back into the festivities, she spotted familiar faces smiling at her. Still, there was a new energy within her this time. She wouldn't hide behind walls. She wasn't going to pretend anymore. But then, just as she began to feel that flicker of hope, her phone buzzed insistently in her pocket. Glancing down, her heart sank. It was a message from work, the weight of responsibility crashing back in an instant. She hesitated, torn between the world she was stepping into and the one that was pulling her away. Jake turned, worry creeping into his features as he read her face. "What's wrong?" The question hung in the air, creating a new crossroads. Did she answer the call of duty or dive headfirst into this new possibility with Jake? In this moment of truth, she felt the electricity in the air shift. What would she choose? As the buzz of notifications continued, she felt the mounting pressure. This was more than a decision, it could change everything. Laura took a deep breath, the buzz of her phone weighing her down like an anchor. The party lights sparkled around her, but shadows of responsibility threatened to overshadow the hope she had just begun to feel. She could sense Jake's concern radiating toward her, the warmth of his compassionate gaze both reassuring and terrifying. "It's just work," she stammered, feeling a wave of frustration rise within her. They need something urgent. It's always urgent, you know? As the words escaped her lips, a part of her wanted to shatter the figurative glass wall that divided her personal life from professional pressures. Jake stepped closer, his eyes steady and patient. What if you just take a moment? Is it really that urgent? He leaned in slightly, creating a small bubble just for them, blocking out the noise of the party. Maybe. I just really don't want to miss this moment, she confessed, a slight tremor marring her voice. It was true. She was desperate to grasp the threads of connection that Jake had offered her moments before. She glanced one last time at her phone, its screen glowing with the notification the latest crisis, an avalanche of deadlines. Just seeing the words sent her pulse racing, her mind buzzing with responsibilities, what-ifs and cannot-fail mantras. Jake watched her, and for the first time, she noticed how his expression shifted from worry to something softer. You know, it's okay to set boundaries. You aren't just a freelancer or a single mom. You're an incredible woman with her own needs and aspirations. This moment is part of that. His words sank in, the weight of them dissolving her anxiety like sugar in tea. She longed for more than just the role she played in the corporate grind. A part of her wanted to save her life, to connect. But could she really put aside her work obligations? Laura's fingers danced over the phone screen, mindlessly scrolling through the email, her heart racing as she considered her options. What did she want more? The validation of work, or the hope of an adventure with Jake? Suddenly, she had an idea. An impulse sparked deep within her. What if I just respond with a quick note? Let them know I'm stepping back for a minute? Jake nodded, enthusiasm lighting up his face. Yes. Just ask for the moment. You deserve that. And then, let us enjoy this night without lingering burdens. With newfound determination, she stepped away from the proverbial ledge, her decision anchoring her to the present. Quickly, she typed out a response. I will address this as soon as possible. I need a moment. She hit send and felt lighter than she had in days. It was a small act, but it carried the giant weight of self-respect. Looking up, she met Jake's eyes again, and this time there was a silent celebration in his gaze. A smile curved on his lips, drawing her in. I'm proud of you, he said quietly. That was brave. Thank you, she replied, suddenly shy. It felt oddly exhilarating to stand here, fully aware of the choices she had made not just in the moment, but throughout her life leading to now. The laughter of partygoers filled the air, and the music pulsed around them. This was her night, and she could either let it slip through her fingers or embrace it with open arms. What do we do next? Laura asked, her heart racing not from anxiety this time, but from excitement. Let us dance, he suggested, his grin infectious, pulling her into a world where the only obligation was joy. With a nervous laugh escaping her lips, she grabbed his hand. They moved toward the dance floor, the pulsating rhythm tangling with her heartbeat. For the first time in a long while, she felt free and tethered from responsibilities, alive among the chaos. As they began to sway to the music, her mind danced between thoughts of work and this newfound connection with Jake. Yet another buzz interrupted her blissful moment, pulling her attention back to reality. She hesitated, the sweet buzz of excitement dampening as she pulled out her phone. It was another message from work, and dread began to creep into her newfound joy. But just then Jake's hand found her waist, grounding her in the present. Don't let them steal this moment, he murmured, visibly seeing the tension return to her face. She knew he was right, but the weight of the message gnawed at her, a dark cloud threatening to overshadow her dance in the light. Could she really shake off the pressures waiting for her? Did she dare to let this new potential slip away? As the music swelled around them, the choice loomed between her old responsibilities and a new path that beckoned with hope and possibility. This was just the beginning, yet she sensed an impending storm of tight choices and fading moments ahead. What was she willing to sacrifice to embrace the unexpected? The beat of the music wrapped around Laura as she swayed with Jake, tossing aside the worry that clung to her like a damp blanket. In this moment, nothing else mattered. The crowd blurred into a kaleidoscope of colors, laughter vibrating through her. Jake held her closer, the warmth of his body melding seamlessly with hers. She could feel the rhythm thrumming through their joined hands, intense and alive. Just as it felt right, she let herself surrender to the moment. "Do you remember the last time you let go like this?" Jake asked, his voice low enough to be drowned out by the music, yet clear enough to draw her attention. "No," she confessed, the truth tinged with a hint of sadness. "I can't. It feels like ages ago." The realization slipped from her lips and settled in her heart. Jake's gaze softened. "You deserve more moments like this, Laura. Work will always be there. What matters is how you spend your now." His words hit home, echoing inside her. The weight of expectations slowly lifted, but just as she faced this joy, her phone buzzed in her pocket once more. The sound pulled her back, like the tide dragging her from the shore. Without thinking, she glanced at her phone, begging for a moment of clarity only to find another urgent notification begging for her attention. The storm of emails screamed for her involvement, and her heart sank. It felt like the universe conspired to yank her back into the depths of demands and obligations, just when she was beginning to surface. "Laura," Jake said, his voice cutting through the commotion. She could see concern flickering in his eyes. It was the same look he'd given when she first mentioned the avalanche of deadlines. Maybe I should just check my messages," she stammered, the words bitter on her tongue. "Or you could take this moment as yours, free from every outside pressure." He emphasized the last words, his fingers tightening around her waist, as if anchoring her to the present. With a deep breath, another part of her bolted towards the phone again. "But they need me. If I don't respond, they'll survive," Jake interrupted gently. "You have to know that it's okay to choose yourself." How could she choose herself when so many others depended on her? The thought wrestled painfully within her. Her heart raced, caught between duty and desire. She knew the crushing reality that awaited her if she returned to her emails. Yet the connection in Jake's gaze, the life that sparkled in the dance floor's shadows beckoned her to enjoy now, brightly and without restraint. "Laura, what do you think you're missing?" Jake probed, lowering his voice as they turned in rhythm, challenging her to open up. She hesitated, her mind racing. "I don't know if I can. I'm scared of what's waiting for me. I've built this entire identity on handling the pressure." In response, Jake gently brushed a stray hair behind her ear, a sweet gesture that set her heart racing. "You're more than that, Laura. Maybe the fear is what's keeping you from the adventures ahead. What if letting go gives you the freedom to find something even greater?" The clarity in his words was a comforting balm against her frantic thoughts. For a moment, time stilled, and she felt the world around them fade away, leaving just the rhythm, just the two of them. Her muscles relaxed in his embrace. "But what if I can't go back to this? What if everything falls apart?" "Then take a leap, Laura. Trust that you have built enough strength to catch yourself." For the first time, she found a possibility within his challenge. Could she dare to leap? She looked into Jake's eyes and saw not just a party friend but someone who saw her, really saw her, in ways she hadn't allowed herself to be seen in years. "Okay," she whispered, a thrill of anticipation coursing through her. "Let us do it. For this moment." Just then, the house lights flickered, and the music shifted to a slower rhythm. The moment felt like an invitation, a chance to dive deeper into the connection before her. As they stepped closer, swaying perfectly, a text buzzed again, a different kind of alert, one that had Jake looking at his phone. He frowned, his expression shifting from warm to strained in an instant, as new worries flashed over his features. "What?" she asked, the knot in her stomach tightening. Jake glanced toward her, the momentary joy replaced by something heavy. "It's about my company." Her heart raced anew, but would she allow this to navigate the course of their evening? Their eyes locked, both aware of the crossroads that had surfaced between them. With their future buzzing in the air, the real question loomed: would their connection withstand the storm of the unexpected? Laura's breath hitched as she watched the light in Jake's eyes dim. She felt the shift in the atmosphere, the dance floor fading into a realm of uncertainty. "What about your company? Is everything okay?" She took a step back, instinctually drawing herself away from the warmth of his embrace. Jake glanced at the phone, his brow furrowing deeper. It's just, there's a problem with the merger. I'm gonna have to deal with it, he said, the weight of his words dragging his mood alongside. The carefree spirit of the night was slipping through their fingers like sand. Can it wait? She asked, feeling an urgency to pull him back into their moment. We're here together. He nodded slowly, still distracted. I know. But what? The frustration bubbled up, a desperate flare against the encroaching darkness. We both deserve this time, Jake. Why can't we just enjoy it? He closed his eyes for a moment, as if weighing the options deep within him. It's hard for me to switch off, Laura. I manage a lot of people, everyone is counting on me. Her heart ached for him. The burdens he carried were similar to her own. It was their struggle that had led them to this moment. They both stood at the edge of what could be a world of hopes and laughter that felt so tantalizingly within reach. Choosing yourself doesn't mean you're abandoning others, you know, she said softly. We can still be there for others while also being here, right now. He looked at her, the kindness in his eyes pushing through the fog of stress. You make it sound so easy. I've built my whole life around work. How do I just let that go? She offered him a half smile, her own fear creeping back in but refusing to overshadow the moment. It's not about letting go, Jake. It's about letting in the good stuff. Like this. She gestured to the crowd dancing, laughter echoing around them. Like us. Jake chuckled softly, but it felt tight, like he was still caught in a web of thoughts. Maybe you're right. Hey, how about we give it a try? She suggested, daring him. Let us just dance. Forget the world outside for a few more minutes. He looked at her, his expression slowly transforming. You'd really want to do that with me? I don't want to waste this moment worrying about what might happen tomorrow. Let us dive into this. Together. Her voice rang with determination, the truth spilling from her heart. He took a deep breath, nodding as if she bestowed upon him a gift. Okay, let us do it. As the slower beat of the music wrapped around them again, Laura melted back into his arms, anchoring herself in the safety of his presence. They lost themselves in a gentle sway, the world outside dissolving. Each shared glance, every brush of an arm rekindled the sparks of connection. But just as the warmth wrapped them in comfort, a loud commotion erupted from the bar area. Eyes darted as people turned toward the disturbance, curiosity rippling through the crowd. It felt urgent and unnerving. What's going on? Laura asked, glancing toward Jake. He pulled back from the dance, attention peaked. I don't know, but before he could finish, a figure burst through the crowd, headed straight for Jake. There you are. We need to talk. It's urgent. A frantic voice echoed over the music, yanking Jake's focus. Laura felt her heart sink at the interruption, her moment of freedom slipping away again. Can it wait? Jake asked, frustration etching his face, but Laura could see the weight of responsibility pulling him back. I don't think so. It's about the merger. We have serious problems. The momentum of the evening tilted, Laura caught in a whirlwind of discord. Jake's eyes flicked between her and the newcomer, and the joy they built together teetered on the brink of collapse. Could they salvage their moment, or was it too late? Her heart raced with uncertainty, the tangle of emotions swirling. Would this daunting reality drive a wedge between them, or would they find a way to face it together? As Jake stepped away, the dance floor feeling emptier than before, Laura felt a familiar veil of dread descend. What was waiting at the end of this chaotic night? Laura's heart hammered in her chest as she watched Jake step away, the warm glow of their connection dimming like the party lights overhead. Each whisper from the crowd seemed to echo her insecurities, reminding her of the weight she bore not just as a single mom, but as a woman standing at the crossroads of potential and expectation. She could see Jake's expression shift, concern replacing the joy they had just shared. I'll be right back, he said, though uncertainty cloaked the words. Just give me a second. But seconds felt like hours. As he turned to address the newcomer, the murmurs from the crowd began to swell, questions darting back and forth. Was it really urgent? Did it matter more than the magic of what had just begun? If only they could just. Laura, we need to talk. Bill's voice broke through, not helping the weight in her chest. He gestured toward the auction table where the bids had suddenly fallen silent. She swallowed hard. Could the night crumble in an instant just because their grasp on the moment faltered? Taking a breath, she forced her legs to move, stepping toward the familiar warmth of her friends, yet her thoughts were firmly focused on Jake. Maybe you should go help him, suggested Grace, eyeing Laura with worry. He seems like he's in a tough spot. Laura nodded, the pit of anxiety growing deeper. Yeah, I should, but her voice trailed off. What about her own needs? What about the beginnings of something beautiful that felt worth pursuing? As she shifted back toward the dance floor, she caught a glimpse of Jake, his shoulders tight. How long can he stand under that weight? She thought, realizing he needed support too. After all, she had learned tonight that accepting help wasn't a weakness, it was a bridge to strength. Bill, she said as she turned back. I need to help him. Laura, wait! Bill called, but she was already moving toward the commotion behind the bar. Each step felt lighter as clarity washed over her. Why should she sit backstage in her own life while someone else took center stage? As she neared Jake, he faced the newcomer, frustration etched deep in his brow. I can't believe you're springing this on me now, Jake. What's going on? She asked, letting the determination weave through her voice. Jake turned, momentarily startled by her presence. It's just some issues with the merger. They're saying it could collapse if we don't act fast. Tension wrapped around him like a vice, squeezing the joy from his eyes. Laura stepped closer, tilting her head to catch the light. So what does that mean for tonight? His gaze softened, a flicker of relief moving across his features. I really thought I could just let it go for a few hours, but hey, every small moment matters, right? She interrupted, her heart racing with conviction. Listen to me, you took a leap just like I did. Remember? You said, trust your heart? Jake met her gaze, hesitation clear but slowly lifting. But what if everything falls apart? Then we'll find a way to piece it back together, she replied sweetly, the words echoing the strength she hoped to cultivate within. You don't have to carry all of it alone. You've built great things, Jake. Allow this to be just one moment in a much bigger journey. His eyes widened, surprise mingled with admiration. The crowd was bustling around them, yet in this moment, they were two islands of understanding. Maybe you're right, he said, a breath of fresh air drawing between them. But let me help, she urged, her heart pushing her forward. What can I do? Just stay, he murmured, taking a step closer. We'll figure it out together. And just like that, clarity washed over the entangled fears. If they both stood firm in this whirlwind, nothing could break them apart, money, judgment, or urgency itself. I choose this moment, Laura said firmly, her hand brushing against his. Let us dance. And so they moved, leaving the expectations behind as music hummed from the speakers. The room swirled around them, laughter echoing, bids receding into a distant song. In each sway and step, they understood the power of unity, creating something beautiful out of chaos. The anxiety dissipated, replaced by exhilaration, a heartbeat shared and cherished. As the song faded, Jake drew her in tightly. You've shown me something tonight, the beauty in vulnerability. Likewise, Laura smiled, feeling a lightness settle into her bones. It's okay to just savor the moment, isn't it? With renewed energy, they stepped back into the crowd, mingling with friends and community, joy bubbling around them like the fizz of a freshly opened soda. Each glance shared between Laura and Jake ignited a spirit of resilience, not just for them but for those woven into their lives. The whispers faded into laughter and support, bonds solidifying around them like roots finding nourishment in the ground. As the night progressed, Laura realized that asking for help wasn't an end, it was merely the beginning of something so much more meaningful. As everyone began to fade out, and the night quieted down, she felt alive, cradled between the echo of joy and the promise of tomorrow. It was time to embrace whatever came next, knowing together they could conquer it all. And just like that, she stepped into the unknown. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.